Hey, gang, my name is Carl White, and you are listening to the Loan Originator's Edge, powered by the Scotsman Guide. And what we do on these is we interview top producing loan officers, and we also interview people that write articles in the Scotsman's Guide. And that's what we're doing here today. I've got a longtime friend of mine, Mr. Ron Vaimberg, who's out of New York area. In the April edition of the Scotsman Guide, in the residential part, wrote a great article called Grab Their Attention, Pursue This Effective Strategy to Build Fruitful Referral Partnerships. So, Ron, brother, great to see you, my friend. And thanks for the great article that you wrote in the April edition.
Well, thank you for that. And thank you for having me. I'm really honored to be here with you and appreciate the time to be able to spend with you.
Yeah, outstanding. So kind of give us a 30,000 foot view of the article. What were we talking about here?
Well, what we're talking about in the article is that in general, originators struggle to develop agent relations or any type of referral partner relationships because they don't understand what makes them unique. They don't understand what makes them different. And when you lack that understanding or you feel that you're doing the same thing everybody else is doing, you're very reluctant to go out and make sales calls because it elevates your fear.
Yeah. So kind of getting away from the Me Too-itis kind of thing, I guess.
Exactly. That's actually a great way of putting it. Yes. Getting away from Me Too-itis, because many people suffer from that because they don't really understand what their differentiating factor is or how to even present themselves in a different way. So that's really the basis of the article.
So how do you recommend that mortgage professionals or loan officers, as we're talking about here, originators, how do they stand out?
Well, the first thing they've got to do is they've got to get away from the mentality of my products are the same as everybody else's.
Mm.
In order to stand out, in order to get noticed, the first thing you've got to understand is you either have to, or you have to first of all understand what problem you solve for your audience or what opportunity you create for them. Without that understanding, you have no choice but to go in and just sound like everybody else. So if you want to get people's attention, referral partners' attention, think about what problem are you solving? What opportunity are you creating? Once you do that, then you create what I call positioning. And your positioning is understanding that problem or solution that you're offering, and then how you're going to message it. And when you can put those two pieces together, you really become an unstoppable force in developing referral partner relationships because you're not going to sound like anybody else.
So can you give us an example of, you talk about positioning yourself, solving a problem.
Yep.
Can you give us an example about what kind of problem, perhaps maybe or a popular problem that you see loan originators solving and positioning themselves as a go-to person?
Here's one just simple example. So with interest rates remaining elevated, we know that some people have gotten back into the market, but we know that there's still a number of buyers or pent-up demand that is still sitting on the fence. We call them fence sitters or something along those lines. Everybody's got a little bit of a different name for it. So one of the challenges that realtors have is they have fence sitters, buyers who are waiting on the sideline for interest rates to go down. So there's what I'm talking about here is nothing new. There's no shortage of the buy now versus wait calculators and all of those things. But what happens is a lot of people approach this from a logical standpoint. And that's mistake number one, because the majority of human beings make decisions emotionally and justify their decisions with logic. So if I was talking to you, Carl, as a realtor, okay, the best way for me to do is just, this example. My positioning is I want to help you get a fence sitter off the fence.
Okay.
So most loan officers will approach you and they'll say, well, we can do a buy now versus waiting calculation and what have you and whatever. First thing I'm going to do is when I get a hold of you, I'm going to say, Carl, I'd like to ask you a question. And you'll answer the question. I'll say, Carl, are you currently working with or have you been working with any buyers that have told you that they want to hold off until interest rates come down? And you're going to say, yes.
Almost certainly.
Almost certainly. The only agent who's going to say no is someone who doesn't talk to anybody.
Yeah, they don't have any business, and you shouldn't be talking to that person in the first place.
Exactly. So I'd say, so Carl, given that you have people sitting on the fence, what are you doing to get them off the fence?
Mm.
And you might give me an answer, the buy now versus wait. I try to talk them into it or what have you. I say, if I could show you a way where I could actually help you in getting buyers, some of your buyers off the fence back into the market, either show you how to do it, help you do it, would it be advantageous for me or would it be advantageous for you to have me show you how to do this? And you're invariably going to ask me, how would I do that? And that would take me to the next piece. But that opens up the door for an appointment. See, what I've done is, and this is probably one of the biggest mistakes I see loan officers make over and over, which is why they struggle with this. I got you to buy into this. In this example, I got you to buy into the solution before I tell you what the solution is.
Mm.
Most loan officers walk in and they say, well, I can help you get your fence sitters off the fence, or I have this program where it's 100% financing, no money down, down payment assistance program. And if I can just give another example. So, because DPA, I'm hearing from a lot of my clients, is becoming very popular. And we're not going to get into the qualifications or anything else, but it's everybody wants is talking about DPA. So a lot of loan officers will walk in and they'll talk to a realtor. And when I say walk in, it's figurative. It could be on a phone, it could be on a Zoom, whatever.
Right.
And they'll say, we have down payment assistance programs. We do 100% financing. We can do that. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say to the agent, I'm going to say, do you ever work with a buyer that has a limited down payment or no money for down payment? The answer is almost going to always be yes. Have you found that other lenders have approached you and said that they can help buyers with little to no money down, and then all of a sudden find out that they don't qualify or there's some issue that gets in the way? And invariably the agent's going to say yes. Say, well, that's the reason for my call, and that's why I want to meet you. We have a very unique way in helping buyers with little to no money down get into homes that many other lenders say that they can't do the financing for. If I could help you get more of your buyers pre-approved that others are saying no to, would that be helpful to you? What's the agent going to do? They're going to either say yes,
right,
no, or they're going to say, well, how would you do that? Well, no, we could deal with that a different way. But if they say yes, or they say, how would you do that? Which is basically a yes, that leads to the appointment. And that's really the point that I was making in the article, is that when you know how to get noticed, when you know how to start a conversation without the solution, telling them what the solution is, the need to meet with you goes up that much more.
So let me ask you this. I know, in my mortgage branch, some of my loan officers will come to me and say, well, they have the agent has an in-house lender. Is there a different approach, or really does this one approach, like, well, let me ask you something. Does your in-house lender offer opportunities for limited down payment? Is it really the same basic thing, or is there a different approach to it?
It could be a similar approach. But the first thing that I tell everybody is first of all, because we both coach real estate agents as well. And ask any agent, why do they always say they have an in-house lender? The top three objections: I have an in-house lender, I have an existing relationship, I only do listings. And you ask any realtor, why do they always say that, even if it's not true? And they say, because it gets rid of the loan officer. And so the first thing you do is, if a realtor says to me, I have an in-house lender, I have an existing relationship, my first response is, I appreciate you being honest with me. I expected that you did. That immediately throws them off their game, because they're not ready for that response. And once you've told somebody that you appreciate them being honest with you and you expected that they did, it becomes harder for them to actually lie a second time. And I'm not saying that they're all lying, but it becomes harder for them to put the roadblock, because I just thanked them for being honest.
Yes.
So the only person who's going to continue to go down a path of dishonesty, if they are being dishonest, is someone who I wouldn't end up doing business with anyway, because their integrity is in the wrong place.
Yeah.
So I say, I appreciate you being honest. And then once they say, then I say, but the reason I'm reaching out to you is I was hoping I could ask you a question. And that's really the door opener. I was hoping I could ask you a question. And I also tell every loan officer, eliminate these three words from every phone call, every outreach that you ever make. Want to hear them?
Tell me.
How are you? Because if I call you up, I say, hi, Carl, my name is Ron Vaimberg from ABC Mortgage. How are you? I've just opened the door. I've broken the flow and I've opened up the door, meaning it's super easy for you to reject me.
Mm.
And this is a joke that I always make. Do you really care how they're doing?
Mm.
No. And I don't mean that in a malicious or bad way. You just don't. Yeah. It's funny. Sometimes we ask people, how are you doing? They start telling you, and you kind of wonder, why are they telling you
How they're doing.
how they're doing? And it has to do with what part of the country or the world that you're in. You know,
Mm.
and you travel all over the world, and I'm sure there are people that, in certain countries, that you say, how are you? It's not a greeting. They start telling you.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen that as well. So it's once you get the conversation going, it gets easy.
Mm-hmm.
But most people, because they don't know how to start it, they struggle or they just run away from it.
You know, my next question, and maybe maybe you might have just answered it, was what's the most common mistake that you see loan originators make when trying to build referral relationships, and how can they avoid it? Is it the biggest mistake, the opening line, or is there something else?
Well, I don't even know what the biggest mistakes are because there's so many of them. What definitely the things we've been talking about is one of them. The other big one, which I think just messes up so many people, is everybody's trying, especially in a tight market like we're in,
Yeah.
the mindset that most originators are, how do I get business? How do I get business? How do I get this person to give me business? Where
Mm-hmm.
my whole approach is, how do I help them? If you focus on helping, you remove every portion of selfishness out of your body and out of your presentation. You also don't sound like your average and typical loan officer, because most loan officers are trying to get, they're not trying to give.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always sharing and teaching, how do I give more? How do I get my clients to give more to realtors? How do I help more? And there's just so many ways we can help realtors. Realtors or any referral partner, when you understand what their pain points are.
What would you say? Like, what's a key skill for mortgage originators? Somebody that might be new in the business, they're just getting started. They go, well, where should I start? Like, what's a key skill that I need to improve their referral partner strategies? What would you say that is? Or
The
one of them?
most important skill
Tell me.
to make anything work is your ability to ask questions.
Hmm.
If you know the questions to ask, if you focus on the questions to ask, and it doesn't matter whether somebody's brand new or somebody is a 30-year veteran, because I have so many people that attend training programs and they said, I never thought of asking the questions the way you do. And these are
Hmm.
people that are successful. And I just say, because I come from a very simple place. I know everything I need to know for the most part about me. So I don't want to talk. If I ask you questions that are relevant and important to you, one, you're going to tell me everything I need to know in order to win the relationship. And
Hmm.
two, you're going to automatically, or very pretty close to automatically, like me, because we tend as human beings, from a psychology standpoint, like people who are willing to listen to us.
Hmm.
So if I ask questions in a sincere way and I let you talk, I'm already building rapport, and I don't have to do much. And the best part about it is, when you know the questions to ask that are really relevant to your audience, your nervousness goes away because you don't have to do anything.
Hmm.
Stop thinking about what you're going to say next. Start focusing on what questions need to be asked, and that becomes a game changer.
Hmm. Yeah, and I get and make sure you listen to their answer. You know, like when you
Yes.
ask what make sure dude, I was this is a true story. Goes back probably about 5 years ago. I was in a Starbucks here locally in the Tampa Bay area, and this it was a loan officer in there interviewing a real estate agent, right? I knew what it was. Didn't know either one of them, but I could see what was happening there.
Right.
And the loan officer, he asked the real estate agent, which was a lady, a question. She was replying back and said something about her and her kids, and she did this and that and this. His very next question was, "So, do you have any kids?" And she just told a story about her kids, and
Wow.
it was like, "Oh, dude, listen." He was so busy thinking about what do I do next that he didn't listen. So, good stuff.
I'm
Hey,
not. I'm not at all surprised by that story.
how do I learn what questions to ask, Ron?
Um, there are a few ways. One, the fastest way is when people engage with someone like myself or someone like you, where they're learning from someone who knows the questions, knows how to position it, and you leaves it so you don't have to figure it out. That is the shortcut. That is not for everybody. The second is read books on questioning techniques. I'm not talking about just basic open-end, closed-ended questions. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like one of my favorite books about questions is a book called Question-Based Selling.
Mm.
Okay, by Thomas Friess, Freese. Great book, Question-Based Selling, which talks about why questions work and how they work and the different types of questions, but way beyond open-ended, closed-ended, not reverse, negative answer questions. The standard goes way beyond that. And then what you do is you have to take the time to take a step back and say, okay, how do I? Because it's not a mortgage book. How do I apply this in the mortgage industry? So if you understand that emotion, most people make decisions with emotion and then justify their decisions with logic, then you can start focusing on, well, okay, what would be emotional questions that I might ask relating to the purchase of a home? So here's a real simple one. Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer, how are you finding this whole process of finding the right home and the right financing?
Mm.
I've just cast such a wide net. They're going to start, and people are going to automatically feel better about me because people want to be heard and they want someone to help them. And when people are uncomfortable, and this is really, Carl, you and I could talk for hours, you know that.
Mm-hmm.
I call it the psychology or the force already exists within all of us. When you go to the doctor, none of us are ever going to walk into the doctor's office. The doctor's going to say, so why are you here? And we don't respond with, I'm not going to tell you, you figure it out. Why do we automatically respond to a doctor's questions? Because we believe in our head that by answering those questions, we're going to relieve our pain. I can meet with anyone. And as long as my tonality is right and my focus is sincere about helping, I can ask questions, and either they're going to answer the question, or they're going to say, why do you ask that question? And then and I know the reason why. I'm not asking the question so I can sell you. I'm asking the question so I can help you and better understand what your challenges are. Then I can better help you. When you understand that the questions are coming really from here, not just here, but here, and you care, people respond positively. And look, I'll talk about someone who's got a similar hobby, and in Rapport 101, they talk about, oh, you like fishing? I like fishing. You like this? I like, and you know what? To me, that's always very superficial. I personally, I don't like it unless I know the person has a sincere interest in it. If the person has a sincere interest in it, great. If you're just asking me because you're trying to build rapport with me, I see right through that. And I think most people do. But when you ask people about their pains and their frustrations about a situation that they are dealing with, they're going to talk about it. And they're going to usually like the person who is sincere enough to ask the questions and show that they care.
Great stuff, man. All right, so the April edition, make sure that you go check it out, grab their attention, pursue this effective strategy to build fruitful referral relationships. Ron Vaimberg, and Ron, you run Ron Vaimberg International. You want to give us tell a quick minute about what you guys do over there?
What we do is I personally train and coach, whether it's brokers, bankers, banks, credit unions, doing a lot of work there as well, in lead generation strategies, sales strategies, leadership strategies. I work with groups, I work with corporations, I work with individuals one-on-one. And I actually do all the coaching myself. I do, because everything's personalized, everything's custom. So that's in a nutshell what I do. I also have a membership program where people can access resources and different trainings that I do throughout the year. So those are the mainstays of what my business is, and I appreciate you asking me.
Outstanding, Ron. Yeah, we've known each other for quite some time, and You're just an awesome dude, brother. And thanks so much again for the great article. Looking forward to reading some more. Go check it out. Hey, do us a favor. Uh, Give us an honest review, right? We always appreciate those reviews, and
Sure.
forward this episode to three of your loan officer friends. So on behalf of Ron, my name is Carl White, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Loan Originator's Edge, powered by the Scotsman's Guide. See you on the next episode.